Let me guess, you found a wriggly white worm thing in your tank, and then you Googled it, and then you found out, oh, it seems to have an arrow-shaped head. And then you realize, oh, this is planaria. And then you read, holy crap, these things can sting and kill my shrimp. So how do I fix it? It's actually so easy. Planaria isn't something you should stress about. Here's how to fix it, so buckle in. Now, the first thing you want to do before anything else is just correctly identify that this is an actual fact a planaria and not some other kind of worm. There are worms like detritus worms, which seem to be smaller, much more thinner. There's things like blackworms, which can exist naturally in your tank. The correct way to identify planaria is you'll notice planaria are between 0.5 centimeter and 1.5 centimeters long. And this is the main way I identify them. A very distinctive arrow-shaped head. They're a small, white, creamy, sometimes brown slug looking thing, which you'll identify mainly because they're on the front panel of your glass, moving around close to the substrate, maybe even up to halfway in your tank. If by this point in the video you've gone tick, 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 there's a good chance you've got planaria. Planaria exists in tanks where there's not many natural predators, so shrimp tanks is a dead ringer for planaria. If you're able to feed your tank and there's nothing really except for bottom feeding fish, and there's specifically no predatory fish, there's a good chance that what you're seeing in there, as long as it's got that arrow-shaped sort of head, is planaria. Once you've identified correctly that the worm in your tank is in actual fact planaria, you can then move on. If you're a shrimp keeper specifically, yes, it can stress you out more because obviously you think these planaria worms are gonna sting my shrimp. Keep in mind, planaria will only sting shrimp that are very close to it, and those aren't going to hurt your shrimp unless they're smaller. This is an issue and we are gonna fix it, but just stop stressing out so hard about it. It really isn't the end of the world. The treatment for it is so simple. But first, let's talk about how to stop it from occurring in the first place, because you might treat it right now and then it's gonna come straight back. So use this strategy once you've cured it. Planaria will enter your tank primarily through plants. So you'll get plants from the aquarium store, bring them back, and because you don't like dip them or treat them, you put them straight in your tank, you end up with small infestations of snails, planaria, all sorts of other things. It's always a good idea to treat the plants that come into your fish room in a solution of hydrogen peroxide and leave them at least overnight. This kills off most snails, this kills off most pests, and including your planaria worms. Other people will use a mixture of alum powder in the same sort of way. You'll mix it in with a solution of water, dip your plants in there and leave it overnight. And there are ways you can do it within like 3 hours. You just have to increase the dosage of your hydrogen peroxide or your alum powder, and that will kill them faster. That being said, it's a little bit more aggressive or harsh on your plants. So once that 3-hour timer goes off, take your plants out because they might get damaged. That will so greatly reduce the amount of planaria that comes into your tank from an outside place. Now let's get on to treating planaria. There's a few ways to treat planaria, namely 2 that I find are most regularly used, and one that I use every single time that I get planaria. I'm a real natural fish keeper kind of guy. I don't like adding any additive or chemical to my tank, with the exception of this one. But first, I'm gonna go over the less popular option and explain why I've used it and it hasn't worked too well. You can get traps, these little glass things that you can put hovering over the substrate in your tank that allow planaria worms to go in. So you put this bait in it and the planaria worms can go in. Small fish and stuff can't go in because you've just left it on top of your substrate with the entry holes underneath. I've used it and it's worked, but it never treats everything. You tend to not catch all of the planaria and you do a lot of manual labor for it. And so I end up going, what's the point of this? Because I'm not eradicating the planaria, and over time they just come back anyway. So I opt for this next option. If I had advice to give you, I would say steer clear of the traps. Though they're great, they don't get rid of everything. And if you're here looking for a solution, traps aren't a full solution. They are kind of a reduction to the problem, which for some people may be exactly what they need. But for me, I like to just sort it. The method that I use every single time I get planaria is a simple treatment. There's an extract of a nut called betel nut, which somehow, I don't know how, a smarter monkey than me makes the rules here. It comes in a powdered form. So you literally just get a scoop, measure it to like, I think it's like 40 liters for 5 mils or something like that, and you just dose. Its product name is generally something like Planaria Away or No Planaria or something like that. You can find it in almost every aquarium store. I just order mine off of like Amazon or eBay or something, whatever's cheapest. Put a scoop in my tank, and literally I have found that none of my shrimp get damaged. my ecosystem doesn't change. Maybe the water gets cloudy. It does definitely get cloudy for say a day until the issue resolves, and then no more planaria. It's as simple as that. Now, I opt for the powders over the capsule planaria treatment every day of the week as well, because it infiltrates that water column faster. It gets everywhere more, so that more planaria worms get affected. And there's been one occasion in a big tank where I've put my no planaria in, and then the next day there's still planaria in the tank, but I just treated it again the next day and it solved the whole problem. By the way, if this video is helping you or giving you value in any way, hit the subscribe button for me, because there's more videos like this coming straight at you, and it supports us so much to have you guys listening into what we do. Now, I know I said I'm a natural fish keeper and I'm telling you guys go for the chemical treatment, but in this instance, trust me, the chemical treatment is not that damaging. It's not gonna hurt your shrimp. And generally a good litmus test for if something is going to damage your ecosystem is if it hurts your shrimp. It doesn't even do that. Yes, it might be a little tiny bit stressful, but not stressful enough to kill any shrimp that are babies. Maybe if you overdose it, so make sure that your dosing is accurate. If you're overdosing this, maybe you're gonna cause a die-off in your shrimp. That being said, just follow the instructions on the packet and you're generally gonna do well. It's literally never failed for me. Hope this video helped, guys. Hit the subscribe button once again for more videos just like this.